Hi everybody, it's Maxine coming from Unlucky and the Fearless You. As you can see, I've got a lovely special guest here today, and that is Mr. Tim Burt.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
It's good to see you, my lovely.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Now, Tim has come all the way from America today, so he's going to come here, he's going to come and give you all this insight of how to deal with your business, how to sort out your advertising. And I've heard him absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping that you're going to think he's just as good as I do.
I can only hope.
Exactly.
I can only hope to be as good as the great Bradley Chapman and Maxine English and all of the other Maxines that are in Yes You Can. I can only hope.
Oh, thank you so much.
Right. You're very welcome.
So, Tim, let's say I have a little bit about you. So I know from what I've read up about you is that you spent 7.5 years in the Air Force.
Yes.
And then you were 16 years you was employed with CBS and you was on a radio station, was that right?
Yes, I was in radio, the radio industry for 25 total, and the last 16 of those was with CBS Radio.
Fantastic. So
yeah,
you know your stuff.
I'd like to think so. Other people may not agree, but I have my opinions.
Well, being there 16 years, I mean, that's a long old slog. You must really love what you do.
Yeah, when you find your passion and you find your sort of your calling, then they say if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like a job. And trust me, there were days where it felt like a job. There were a lot of days. But also at the same time, when I was in the studio working on, 15 things staring me in the face that I had to get done, I always thought, this is better than out digging ditches in the snow or something, So yeah, there were a lot of frustrating days and there were a lot of great days too. No doubt.
And that's good. When you actually find something you really enjoy, as you said, it doesn't feel like work. You really enjoy it. You love it, and you put all your heart and soul into it. So it's absolutely amazing. Now, I also know that you're an international advertising coach. You're an international public speaker, and you've been to England, you've been to South Africa. You've travelled quite extensively.
Yep.
You're also an author of your books, and you're also a producer as well.
Yeah, I'm actually Yes You Can, believe it or not, is actually right in the middle of my world tour. Before I go to Yes You Can was the beginning of February. The week prior, I will be in Pakistan, and I will be speaking in Karachi and Lahore, and then I fly to London for about 5 days. Do Yes You Can, get to meet you and all the other beautiful people over in England. And then I go back, excuse me, then I go back to South Africa for about a week and a half, and I'll be speaking there in private seminars. And so it's going to be crazy, but I can't wait. I mean, I just the only thing is I kind of think, man, I'm going to be down in South Africa, and now I just need to put something in Australia on the end of that, so then I could just kind of globe around the world, go back home.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to happen. But so Yes You Can, which I'm really looking forward to. That's going to be an unbelievable event. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be right in the middle of my tour. And but yeah, this year, and I have to say this, otherwise I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I have to thank Bradley Chapman for a number of things, but first and foremost was really pushing me to help write my first book. Now I wrote it on my own, but Bradley gave me a very brief layout and description and the structure, sample title chapters, which I kind of played around with. But you talk about an unbelievable motivational coach. If I don't care where you are in the world, Bradley will light a fire under you. 100%. And he just, he really brought a lot of things into perspective for me, because walking away from a very cushy corporate America radio job about 16 months ago. It's scary.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'd known for the last quarter century. And now all of a sudden here I am out in the cold, cruel world. And there are a lot of people like that. It's scary. It's exhilarating, but it's also scary. You know, I had a guy one time that I worked with that I met down in Louisiana, said that, you know, if you own a small business, guess what? You go out of business every 30 days. And I went, wow, that's pretty true, because you got to keep feeding that monster, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And you're right about Bradley. He's like a Duracell bunny. He keeps going and going and going. And if he's not doing anything in front of you while he's doing it, he's behind the scenes, literally like nudging you from the back end, going, "Come on, keep going."
I swear, I don't know how he does it. I swear to you, it'll be 10 o'clock at night over here, or 9 at night, and I know it's 2 or 3 in the morning over there, and Bradley Chapman is live. I'll get this notification. I'm like, do you ever sleep? What is going on here? I don't know. But no, I have to thank Bradley, first off, for not only inviting me over to Yes You Can, but just motivating me and kind of keeping me focused with it. It's very easy when you start your own business, or you've had your own business, and it's that roller coaster. You know, you're going to have these ups and downs, and when you get down, you know, they say it's always darkest before the dawn. There are stretches where you're going to think, I don't know when this is going to turn around. I don't know if this is going to turn around. And I think at those moments, you have to ask yourself, why did you get into business in the first place?
Yeah. And it is very much, like, you know, starting business, it is like a massive roller coaster. You know, when you're employed with other people, you don't have to think about a lot. You just go in, you do your 9 till 5, or, you know, whatever hours that you do. And it's very much, you go in, you do your job, you come home, you've got nothing really to think about, just to make sure you get up the next day. But with your business, it's like, oh, I need to buy this, and it's thousands of pounds. And then you're like, oh my God, I've paid all this out, and I can't afford nothing. And then the next week, it's like, oh, I need this. And it's like, it's non-stop. It's a massive roller coaster ride. And, you know, you go to the darkest hours and you go to the lightest hours. But when it's dark, it is dark. But you just know the light is coming. And when it does, it's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, the thing is, you can't let yourself get too low, and you can't let you get yourself too high. You know, you have to stay just, you know, it's like to say you establish a baseline of your emotions, you know. And yes, there are days when you're going to take the car off the road. I get it. We've all done it. We've all been there. And there are days when you get so excited and so pumped up that you step on the gas, and the next thing you know, you're out of control.
Yeah.
You have to maintain, you know, you have to
balance.
Keep it in control, keep both hands on the wheel, keep it between the lines, and just go, you know. But no, Bradley is quite an amazing person. And oh, I don't know where he gets that energy. I love coffee, and I still haven't found anything that'll get me that. Actually, I take that back. The espressos I used to get when I lived in Spain, that will do it. But other than that, yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. We've got down here. We'll come back to you in a second there, to Tim. We've got a few people down here. We've read all these comments are coming through. So we've got howdy for Maxine and Tim from Robert Brooker. Hello, Robert Brooker.
He's put, we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. We can work on that one that we were just talking about just now. Not joking, I know a few networthy individuals there. Is that over Yes You Can? Because I hope so. There's some worthy individuals over Yes You Can.
Well, let us know when the noteworthy individuals show up, Robert. Let us know. Because I don't think they're here. No, present company excluded.
Of course. Oops, we've just cut Tim off.
Right.
Adam said hi. And yeah, he's coming. We've got Richard's coming. Part of that, obviously, Yes You Can. Robert said true story. Robert's put me now deep into the ditch. Yeah, exactly that. And you've just got to stay on that path, Robert. No, none of these ditching and none of this going off the road.
Right.
There's only so much you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want none of that. Cut that one out.
Right.
So let's go back to obviously you, Tim. So you did an international advertising coach. What made you decide to go and do your world tour? Because that sounds absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to meeting you in February because that would be brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. Likewise. First off, I love to travel, and it's been a goal of mine to speak around the world. Hey, you listen to these people like Tony Robbins and all these other speakers like, oh, I've spoken around the world and they pay for my travel and they pay for my meals and they pay for my hotels. And I'm like, where do I sign up for that? So I've got a pen right here. But no, I've always loved to travel, even when I was a kid. And, you combine what I do and I've had a lot of people, I've had some of the biggest people in my industry. And this is not to brag. Most people that know me will say, oh yeah, he likes to brag about it. I don't. I'm telling you right now, I don't. It almost pains me to say this, but I've had some of the biggest people in my industry tell me to my face, nobody does what I do. And when you have that when you have that clout, when you have that nugget in your hand,
yeah,
what are you going to do with it?
Wow.
If you own a business, Maxine owns a business. I don't care if you're a solopreneur. I don't care where you're watching this around the world. I don't care what it is you do. When you have that position in your hand, it's up to you to make something out of it.
Yeah.
And like Robert says, yeah, turn it to gold. Absolutely. Mm. And because guess what? Nobody's going to turn it into gold for you. I can promise you that. This is all on you. Absolutely. And this is all on you. And I've just, some people call me a hustler, it's like you're grinding all the time and you're doing all this stuff. Yeah. Because as one very, very, very famous music promoter said one time, if you don't promote yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you.
100%.
And that's constantly going through my head. And we've all had those setbacks and everything, but even through that, I knew I had to keep promoting myself. And I haven't done a very good job of that. So follow my lead here. Even on the days that you don't want, I'm sure there are days, Maxine, where you don't feel like doing this, or you're like, oh God, I don't have time for this. I got the kids and the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
You got to keep the motivation up no matter what. It's like, as you said, it's very much that, you do have days, and I sit there and go, do you know what? I wish I just had a TV day and I just did nothing. Shut the world out and go, do you know what? I'm doing something.
Sure, there are those days.
For about 15 minutes.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's not a bad thing, but you got to keep going. You just got to keep going. You can't, it's almost like, it's this running a marathon. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. And the problem is when you do stop, and I don't know if you're the same, but I find it quite a lot, is that if I do actually physically just go, right, I'm taking a couple of days out, I'm just stopping, and it's so much harder to start going again. When I'd rather just keep the balance and just keep going, even if I'm doing little bits at a time. If I sit there and go, well, actually, I don't have 6 hours to spare today, I've only got 20 minutes. And then it's very much that I'll do 20 minutes and I'll do some work in that 20 minutes, and I'm still going. Because once you lose that motivation, it is a nightmare.
Oh, bringing that back up, getting it back up to speed. It's tough. It can be tough. And especially when life is happening around you. It happens on my end as I'm sure it does yours and anybody else watching right now. You have all of these projects lined up. I've got a huge whiteboard over here, and I've got these projects listed out. And time is a finite commodity.
Yeah.
And it's time management is a big part of that. Motivation is a part of that. And those, there are those days where you do need to kind of digitally unplug and just kind of get your head right.
Yeah.
I understand that, sure.
And I think it's when you've got people around you. It's very much with us over here with Yes You Can. It's very much that you know, if one of us is feeling down, you know, we'll be ringing the other person up saying, get yourself back on that horse, make sure you do this, let's get this done, we can do this. And it is very much the motivation there. You know,
Sure.
You know, if it goes quiet, then we know something's wrong. So it's like, right, we need to ring that person up and see what's going down.
Yeah. Well, and just remember, somebody somewhere is counting on you.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's just keep going. So
yeah,
it's
you may not know who or where, but somebody is counting on you.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Right, okay, so back to you, Tim. So you've got international speaker, absolutely love it, always want you to travel the world, absolutely love traveling. Where's the best place that you've been?
For speaking?
For speaking, for holidaying?
Oh, for speaking? Okay, there are two places. For speaking, would have to be it would have to be when I was in South Africa. I can't wait to go back. And Mozambique. I went to Kruger Park, which is a massive wildlife refuge, and it's like being on safari but not being on safari. And I mean, the stuff I saw going around this park, I spent a whole day there. This was like stuff out on the National Geographic Channel. I mean, and it was happening right in front of me. I mean, you know, a herd of 250 water buffalo fighting off cheetahs. I mean, it was and lionesses. I mean, it was insane. That was incredible. And as far as just straight holiday going, I got two places. Number one is Berlin. That might be the coolest city in the world. Number one, and number two is Maui in Hawaii. Maui is like, it's like, you've seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
That's what Maui is like. Just a little flatter. I mean, it's absolutely stunningly breathtaking. Just gorgeous. When the volcanoes are not active. That would be the best time to go. But there are places on my bucket list I have not gone. Japan, Australia, want to go to Hong Kong, want to go to Dubai. There are a lot of places I have not been. As much traveling as I've done, there's a lot of places I have yet to go. But hopefully, speaking will take me there.
Yeah. Do it as a working holiday.
And when you can get someone else to pay for it,
even better. Get that pen ready.
Gotta love it. That's right. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes down to your advertising side, and I know you terminally said that you get the results faster than better than anyone else. What would you say that makes you one of the fastest people?
Earlier I said, you know, I had these real industry heavyweights saying there's nobody else that does what I do.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just have this innate ability to look at, for example, your business or somebody else's business as a whole and immediately find the problem areas. It's like when you bring your car into the garage, you know, for maintenance or something, and they can listen to it, you know, like you start it up and they hear something, a squealing or a clicking, and they go, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I may not know what it is, but I have a really good idea of where it is and what that might be. Same thing here. It's a lot of visual for me. It's, of course, based off of feedback from the business owner saying, oh man, the competition has moved in across the street. I got a new competitor down the street. I got this other big website that's clobbering me on this side. What do I do? That's usually the question that that comes to me is, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I just instantly just step back and I take that 30,000 foot view and go, well, let's look at the entire landscape here, because a lot of business owners, they get solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. I've seen this, I don't know how many times. You get so focused in on your little part of the woods, your little sandbox.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure everything is just right in that sandbox. And yes, you do. However, you have to step back and look at the entire picture, because if you don't do that, somebody's going to clobber you. Somebody's going to go, oh, you're doing that? I'm going to step right on you.
Yeah.
And so it's more just as much of offensive as it is defensive or flanking. In fact, in my my first book, High Performing Ads, there's a chapter called the counter punch. So if somebody hits you, or if you hit first, let's say, you're a new business and you just came into town and, you're the new pizza shop, for instance, and you spend 5,000 pounds or $10,000 or whatever, and you go on this massive advertising blitz. And all of us, a couple of things are going to happen. First off, you're going to awaken the sleeping giant of your competition. So the big dominant pizza shop's going to go, hey, who's this? Who's this guy? Who does he think he is? You're on my turf, right? You're going to get a lot of that. Right, exactly. You're going to get a lot of that. So you're going to jar them instantly. You're going to pull them into a fight that they don't want to be in. Yeah. Number one. The second thing that's going to happen is they're going to try to devise a strategy on how to defeat you. Now, it depends on how big it is, how much money they have, how much time they have. If they just want to drag this out and try to drain you, okay, that's fair. But when they try to hit back, okay, now we talk about the counter punch, because you've hit them, they may come back and hit you. Now the ball's in your court. How are you going to hit them back? And that's what I talk about in that chapter. Yeah. It's that's something that's just part of that. That's just part of that, looking at that 30,000 foot landscape, that the entire spectrum, and saying, what am I going to do? Because I hit them, but yeah, I got a shot in. Great. Boom. They're going to hit you back. Now you got to come back and hit them one more time. You got to just hit them again. What do you do with that third connection there?
You've got to make sure you're not bullied down, because if you get bullied down and they see that you came, and then they know that it's going to happen again.
Yeah, because especially if you're taking on a big, if there was let's take a startup cell phone company, for instance, over in the UK, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and they want to take on Virgin over in the UK. Well, Richard Branson's not going to take too kindly to that, and he's got a team of people to say, go squash this little guy. But if you become a pest, if you become so annoying to them that they're like, I can't get rid of these people, I can't, what do we do? Well, if you set yourself up that nicely, Richard Branson might go, I might just buy you. Oh, boo-hoo. You just got yourself a massive payday. But that happens. That happens. You think about classic example, Instagram. Zuckerberg saw it and went, I kind of like that. I'm gonna, buy it. Yeah. But they started off like they started off as two guys, that had an idea with a cell phone, and the next thing you know, they're, for $300 billion or whatever he paid to buy Instagram. That happens. Now, it's rare, but guess what? They did everything right.
I'm like, I'll take that. It's absolutely fine.
It's fine. That's it. 300 bill.
Yeah, just change.
Whatever. Yeah.
So Robert Brooker put in there, I left it on there so you could read it. He's saying that he's got a good friend in South Africa and that he lives in Japan and that his family's teaching English to little people, utilises his unique gifts. And then he's put to say that he can hook you up in Tokyo.
Robert, we'll talk.
Definitely. See, you could be on your way to Japan, Tokyo, Australia.
The Pacific tour.
Yes.
That's it.
Why just have it on your bucket list? Why let it be a dream? Let's make it a reality. You're halfway there already.
Absolutely. There you go.
Exactly that. So, question for you. Are you ready for this one?
Here we go. Question time. All right.
How did you get where you are today?
I've long said that if you were to take my story and you were to write it out into a Hollywood script and you would try to take it to Hollywood and turn it into a movie, you would get laughed out of town. Nobody would believe you. I promise you.
Why?
Well, I have more than 30,000 commercials to my name around the world, author, speaker, coach, producer, voiceover coach. I have no degree. I've won no awards, and I've had truly no formal training, so to speak. So how did I get here? The simple answer is studying. I sort of fell into the radio industry,
yeah,
in a weird way, and but once I was in, I kind of saw that as my shot to see how far I could take this, and I have taken this in a direction that I would have never dreamed ever. But the big turning point for me was, and I talk about this in my first book. The big turning point for me was when I was working here in St. Louis at CBS, and I'd been here for probably 2 or 3 years, and I was asked to do a commercial for a convenience store, Petrol Mart,
yeah.
and again, no formal training, no awards, no degree, and I just knew what I knew from being around other people in the radio industry who, spoiler, don't know very much about advertising either.
Right. Okay.
So I was armed with a lot of bad information, and I was asked to do this commercial for this Petrol Mart, and I thought it was funny, and it was cute, and it was clever, and it was really entertaining. And then I saw the salesperson in the hallway. It was her account, and I said, "Hey, how's that commercial for a place called Motomart?" I said, "How's that Motomart commercial doing?" She said, "Yeah, they're about to cancel because they're not seeing anybody come into their store." Well, I will tell you, for whatever reason, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I knew that I had to step up my game or else I was going to be out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally at that moment I decided I'm going to start studying everything I possibly can about advertising. Because it had always been a weird passion of mine, but I didn't know a lot about it. So I started studying from the masters, Dan O'Day, David Ogilvy, Dan Kennedy, Robert Collier back in the 1920s. He's like going way back.
You weren't broadcasting back in the 20s. You don't look a day over 68.
Thanks. Robert Collier's he was kind of the godfather of quote modern day advertising. If you go back and look at some of those print ads from the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. I can see why snake oil would sell. In the 1920s.
Snake oil.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a phrase over here. It's a snake oil salesman. They say, "Oh, this stuff will do this and this and this," and yeah, it's garbage. But it was when I started studying, like I was taking finals at Harvard, the next day. I mean, to this day, I still do. And it was when I made that choice and made that decision to start studying my brains out, that's when I started seeing true results. And I've made small business owners millionaires. Yeah. I don't know how much money I've generated for people around the world. I have no idea. But that was the turning point for me. And I would just suggest to anybody watching this, if you think you know everything about your industry, you don't. I can promise you don't. It doesn't hurt to learn from your competition. It doesn't hurt to learn from things that you might think are outdated. Trust me, there's some nugget in there somewhere that you can take and apply today.
Yeah.
So
100%. I mean, everyone's learning every single day, and it's like even me. I mean, I'm learning 5 or 6 things a day, and it's just like it's never ending. And the more you learn, the more you find, the more you learn. And yeah.
Absolutely
Brilliant.
And that's what I had. That's what I did, and that's what got me started getting notoriety and recognition. Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post. I mean, just incredible publications. I've been in Radio Inc., Radio and Production. So it's just because I took the initiative and studied, that was really truly the turning point for me.
Yeah. And just so you know, Robert Brooker's turning and said to you about Tokyo, and he's going to try and get you in there.
Mhm.
We actually talked about Robert Brooker this week, and we talked about him being the voice. And the fact is that we was talking about that he needs help being a voiceover and know how to do it. So you two could collaborate between you. How good's that? You get to travel the world. He gets to use his voice.
That's what I did. Oh, Bradley says getting feedback. Turn your volume down, max.
Yeah, I've turned it. I've turned it down. About 10 so
He must call you Max.
He does call me Max. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's when he's in a good mood with me. I don't know if you've got yours up your side as well.
No, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, that's cool. So Bradley's put, how's the cow cleaner going? Okay, what's that one then?
The cow sprayer. Yeah, that's a that's a piece of equipment. It's like a car wash for cows, and it's actually I think last year we sold about $250,000 worth of those, and off of not a lot of money. And this year is going okay, but he's actually coming out with this guy that invented it down in Georgia. I mean, really down south. And he's got a new product. He's got actually the one that I'm really excited about is it's a organic pesticide.
Yeah.
And so he came up with the formula, and I gave it the name of Georgia Juice. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be just bonkers. So yeah, but you know, when you come up with a formula for anything liquid or a food thing, there's so many government layers you have to go through to get approval. And we've been working on that for, gosh, I don't know how long. But we're very, very close on it. But the cow sprayer is going real well.
Cool.
So thank you, Bradley, for asking.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one big question. You ready for this?
Yes.
The biggest advertising mistake that people make.
The biggest advertising mistake that people make. I'll give you two, and they're very, very brief.
Okay.
Number one would be on video or radio or television. And that is more than one method of contact. In other words, in your commercial, don't say, well, you can give us a call at, and visit our website at, or visit our website, or visit us on Facebook. And here's our Twitter handle, and see us on Instagram. No. If you own a business, it is your job to tell me what you want me to do. Don't give me 15 different directions to find you. Give me one way. And whatever that way is, that's fine. But just take it and pound it and don't deviate from it. If it's a website, fine. You want to put your phone number and your email and all that stuff in there, great, do it. That's kind of the gateway drug, if you know what I mean. It's like that one way into the kingdom. Once I'm in, then show me all the other stuff that you have. That's fine. But to find you, I need one way. So determine that first. And the other thing, the biggest mistake that small businesses make is trying to do, well, back up, is they think just because they don't have an ad budget that they can't advertise.
Yeah.
And we know that is not true. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, all of these social media platforms, they're free. There's nothing stopping you from putting something out there at least once a day. Talk to your fans. You have to do that. And there's that ABC phrase, it's always be closing. In the world of sales, they'll say it's always be closing. I've changed that to always be communicating. You have to do that. And even I admit, I'm not that there are days when I go stretches where I go a while when not talking to my fans or the people that have subscribed to my website or whatever. I'm just as guilty as you are. But if it's you got to hire somebody to do it, or you schedule it out, you just take a day and you schedule stuff out for later automatically, do it. But you don't have to have a huge ad budget to make an impact.
Yeah, and I mean, I think communication is key, isn't it? No matter what you're doing, it's very much, as you said, whether you're advertising or whether you're talking to people or whether you're communicating with through text messages, communication is key because it keeps people interested. So
Absolutely.
I can completely get that 100%. So
Oh yeah.
let's talk about advertising budgets. I mean, I know you said just now about obviously doing on, when you go to like Facebook and you don't have to pay for it, or you go onto Instagram, you don't have to pay for it. But obviously you've got the other bits that you can go more intricate in, and you do have to pay for them. I mean, do you have to spend a lot of money to get some kind of impact? Because I know with Facebook lately, it's like the algorithms have changed so much that really to get anything nowadays, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say the average spend is?
Oh, it depends on the size of the business. Some people spend as little as $5, and some people spend 100. I mean, with the cow sprayer, we did a buy of $2,000 at one time, but we got massive results off of it. But this is where a lot of people, I think, get delusional. They think, oh, the more money I spend, the more people are going to buy from me. That's not true at all. I had a very dear friend of mine. She had one Facebook post get 30 million views, and she didn't spend a cent.
Wow.
It's not about as I say in my seminars, it's not the amount you spend, it's the message you send. If your message is right, it's on target, it's on point, it's ironclad, it's solid, then you don't have to spend anything. Now, to spend a little bit of money, sure. Throw $50, $100 or whatever at it. Great. That's the beauty of Facebook ads, is you can really hyper target exactly who you want to go after. That's the nice thing versus radio or television or even print. Those are kind of a shotgun, we're just going to plaster all over the place.
Yeah.
With Facebook, yeah, it's definitely more targeted, but like you said, they've really changed the algorithm and restricted, and they want you to spend more money. Okay, I get it. It's not the best thing in the world, but what are you going to do? You got to play by their rules. It's their sandbox,
So which platform would you say that is probably the best one to actually do online with? Would you say it's Facebook? Would you say it's YouTube, Instagram? What would you say would be the main one?
It depends on the business. It depends on where your audience lives.
Okay.
If you're a let's take for instance a photographer, I would definitely be on Instagram, and I would definitely be on Facebook, and Twitter. Yeah, you can put pictures up on Twitter, but that's not why people go to Twitter. Pinterest, yeah, sure. But YouTube, does YouTube make a lot of sense for a photographer? I mean, you could make the argument, yeah, but that's not where I'm going to be first drawn.
A videographer, yes, because obviously they can do videos and stuff like that. But
if you're a wedding videographer or something like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it depends. You have to ask yourself, where does my audience live? And once where do they visit online? Once you answer that question, it'll come to you pretty quickly.
Yeah. And would you say when you do advertising, would you say it's worth concentrating on one thing and getting that 100% right, or would you say, to actually go and do two different channels or two different platforms and actually work them both? But are you going to get both 100% right?
Well, that's the A/B split testing. You can, I mean, you can do that as long as the only time I would do A/B split testing, and that's where you like Maxine was saying, where you broadcast two separate yet similar advertisements at the same time, maybe to the same place or even different channels.
Yeah.
As long as the advertisement, as long as the message doesn't change and the delivery of it doesn't change, you can have very slight variations, but you don't want to have, for instance, let's take a restaurant, for instance, and you say, you want to advertise on Facebook, you want to talk about your steaks or your whatever. And then on Instagram, you want to promote your desserts. Same restaurant, two totally different things. Yeah. That, in my opinion, that's not what I would do is take your biggest seller and find two similar ways to promote those at the same time. That's how I A/B split test, because otherwise you're confusing the audience, and they're not gonna respond.
So perhaps then I should put what I'm doing now, have it on Facebook, and all the life coaching and all the authors and everything else, and being published, my book would be on Facebook, and then perhaps do my broadcasting and actually also put it over to YouTube.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anything, the stuff that we're doing here, that needs to also be on YouTube, no doubt.
Yeah, next thing on the list. I'll bring it down with the other 530 to do this week.
Yes, right.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you say is the most important thing to do when it comes to advertising?
Be consistent and be bold. I talked about that earlier. Always be communicating. Same thing here. You've just got to do it consistently. And as a subset of that is be bold. There's no being weak or coming across as we're very gentle. Now, if that's your product, okay, fine. But you still got to hit people in the gut in one way or the other. Okay? Otherwise, you've given them no reason to buy from you. You've got to make an impact. You got to do it over and over and over and over. Just consistency and boldness. Those are the two big things.
Fantastic. So guys, any of you that's out there that's listening to Tim, as you can see, he knows this stuff inside out. And it's very much that if you've got any questions yourself, you're more than welcome to ask Tim. I mean, we've said, bring your questions in. We'll do a Q&A while we're here. At the end of the day, you'll learn by obviously what Tim's talking about is if you've got a question that, that you want answered. So, why I'm asking, you can do the same. Not a problem. So get them in, guys. So when you've got a company, whether it's a new company, or whether it's a small business, big business, whatever it is, when would you say the best time to advertise is? Would it be like a pre, or would it be literally as they started, or are you talking later on, or what would you do?
A lot of variables there. But
you do it all at once.
Well, sure, a lot of variables. But what I would say is, being consistent, even if you have a seasonal business, for instance. Let's say that you're a company that hires that hires out Santa Claus, for Christmas parties and things like that. Is there a reason why you can't advertise in June or July and say, hey, you want to get on the list now, here's a discount, and before you get filled up and the next thing you know, you're scrambling, it's December 20th and you don't have a Santa for your party? Well, guess what? You can take care of that now. Yeah. And if you give them a reason to do it, if you say, look, here's a 10% off coupon or a $50 off or whatever, you figure out the deal.
Yeah.
There's no reason you can't do that. The same thing with ski resorts in Colorado here in the States. When summer hits and there's no snow, well, guess what? Would you like to have a party in our ski lodge? Have your birthday party or your whatever party there? That's one of the things that I think a lot of businesses, they get so surrounded by their own stuff, they get so blinded, and they can't see, the bigger picture. And it's like, guys, you have this this incredible facility. Why aren't you renting this out all year?
Yeah.
It's things like that. You have to just find. The short answer to your question is, you really should be advertising year-round, even if you're a seasonal business. There's an amusement park, actually it's a chain of amusement parks here in the US called Six Flags. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
But Six Flags, they have Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas. I mean, they're all over. LA. Well, right now they have what's called Holiday in the Park, where they have this Christmas thing. Before that, they had, it was the Halloween Spectacular, I don't know what it was called, Fright Fest, that was the name of it.
Yeah.
Now when January hits, yeah, okay, they're going to be shut down because it's so cold. However, guess what they're doing? They're advertising saying, hey, we're open on April 15th or whatever the day is. Buy your season passes now and we'll give you a list of bonuses. They don't have to do that, but they know they can because they know people will buy them. because
Yeah.
to go to these places is very expensive. Even the big guys advertise when they're off season. So if you're a seasonal business, there's nothing that says you can't do it when you're out of season. In fact, that's, in my opinion, that's the best time to advertise.
Yeah, because there's not much going on, so you might as well advertise. And it's very much what I was like when I was in the shop. It was very much that, you know, if you had Mother's Day and, you know, you had Easter, they were near enough on top of each other, you know, and once they were out of the way, you had nothing really apart from St. George's Day, you know, and then it went on to Father's Day. But it was very much that as soon as one thing went, I used to put a whole load of new stuff out for the next thing that was coming up. And then once the kids had come out of school in July, you know, I then put the Halloween stuff out, even though it wasn't until October. But I knew Halloween was a big thing, and lots of fancy dress costumes, everything else came out. And not only that, I found that people would have parties even during the times that it wasn't that time. It's like I'll get a load of people coming in for Hawaiian stuff at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's summer, that's beach. But you do, you used to get people in all the time. I even had a customer come in, and she was actually doing a Christmas dinner day and presents and everything in the middle of summer. And I was like, what are you doing? She went, well, we find it actually quite a joke that at Christmas time, we have a bit of a laugh and joke about it, but in the summer, we actually have a Christmas. And it's strange how people's brains work. You just never know that you might get custom that's unexpected.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other thing is, what you do, what that does is it actually positions you in the mind of the audience that, wow, this place, oh, they actually are open year round, or they're not just open in October, November, December, whatever. Yeah, they're actually open all the time. And I'm telling you, once you get them in the door, if you have a physical business like that, once you get them in the door, then it's on you to kind of show them all the other stuff that you have. But there's that one thing that brought them in the door. And what's that one thing? That's the thing you got to pound over and over and over
again. Yeah. As you said, again, being consistent, isn't it? Making sure people know that you're there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. You've probably seen me quite a lot on Facebook the last few days. Doing lives on Facebook, getting people coming to get the Christmas stuff. And it's something that I'm now getting into people's brains enough to say, like, you're not getting away with nothing. You know, you need to come and see me. And it's like anything. It's like telling yourself in the mirror, isn't it? It's like, you know, you're good, you're great, you're amazing, you can do this, and you believe it. And that's the same thing, I suppose, when it comes to advertising. When you're constantly doing stuff constantly all the time, and your customers see that, their brain is, I need to go and see that person because that's where it is.
You know, you bring up a great point, and I've said this for years. Why does McDonald's have to advertise? They're McDonald's. They're a $10 billion corporation. Why do they have to advertise? Now let's take it up to today. I used to say it for years was McDonald's. Now I would replace McDonald's with Amazon.
Yeah.
Why in the hell does Amazon have to advertise? Why? They practically run North America. You know, they own Whole Foods. They're buying stuff up left and right. They've disrupted the planet. Why does Apple need to advertise? Because they have to. It's not about, it's about selling products, but when you do an advertising like that, it's staying top of mind. And which, by the way, is the subject of my second book called Inside a Buyer's Mind, available right now on Amazon and on my website, timbermedia.com/store.
Look, you've gone way ahead in advance. I didn't even get that far.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So we do it like now instead of after. So we'll get you booking. So tell us a little bit about your book. Give us a bit of an insight about your book.
Yeah, the first one, High Performing Ads, that basically is kind of an overview of, if you've never advertised before, what to expect, how when you go to buy an ad, what constitutes an effective ad. Because if an advertisement doesn't turn into sales, then what do you really have? You got nothing. That's, in a nutshell, that's the first book. The second book, I go in a really, I don't want to say different direction, but I go deep. And I talk about why do people, let's take your business for instance. You have the party supply store. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do people buy from your competition, whoever that might be, as opposed to you?
You asking me or just in general?
Both.
Okay.
but why does somebody buy from your competition and not you? Now stop right there.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Because you could say, I looked at your website, it's phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that, it is truly a staggeringly good website. So what's keeping somebody from buying from your site as opposed to Amazon or Alibaba or whatever? Is it price? Is it ease of checkout? Is it selection? Is it, I don't know. But what I can tell you is there are some simple things on the surface that I saw that are probably hindering, probably making people go, yeah, this is really nice, but you know what, I want to look on another site to see. I want to see if Tesco has this, or I want to see if whoever has this, because there's a little thing that's keeping somebody from hitting checkout or buy. That's why it's called inside a buyer's mind. We talk about short-term memory versus long-term memory. How do you get planted in someone's long-term memory versus their short-term memory? For instance, Maxine, if I asked you, name for me a restaurant that sells hamburgers.
McDonald's.
Name for me your favorite restaurant that sells hamburgers.
TGI Fridays.
Stop. Did you catch that, everybody? Did you catch that?
Had to think about it.
Well, no. It's not the fact that you had to think about it. That was okay. The fact that you thought about it's okay. The fact that you gave me two separate answers to basically the same question. Now, granted, I did throw in favorite in the second question, but the first question was name for me a restaurant that sells hamburgers. You said McDonald's almost instinctively. Why?
Because it is literally something that you always know. It's always there, and it's your cheap and cheerful, I need something quick on the go, and it's the first thing you think of.
See that you just hit it. It's the first thing you think of. Why? Because they were consistent. You've consistently seen them for years and years and years and years, and they've very rarely changed their logo.
Mm.
You know exactly, when you see that M, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I said, name for me your favorite restaurant that sells hamburgers, and you said TGI Fridays. Now, the question really is, why wasn't TGI Fridays the first thing that popped in your head when I said hamburgers? Because in my opinion, when I said hamburgers, you should have instantly jumped to your favorite one.
Yeah.
As opposed to, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Burger King, Wendy's, whatever, Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
In-N-Out. Yeah, now granted, some people would say, those in the world of statistics would say, well, you flawed up the sample here because you asked two separate questions. Well, yes, however, they're very, very, very closely related.
Yeah.
That's what the second book deals with, how to get like here so you don't have to go, well, let me think. No, boom.
Yeah.
A place that you would go if you needed a door handle, Home Depot or wherever it would be in the UK.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? As opposed to, oh gosh, I don't know. No. I want to put you here in the brain so far in the forefront that people instantly think of you first.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of the second book.
I very much did that when it comes down to the business. I did it locally, but I suppose it was very much that I concentrated on doing locally. So I was in their brain because I was the only place they can go to get everything they possibly could under one roof. So anything you needed for any occasion was sitting there in front of you in one place, and I would help you out. I'd be like your own personal shopper, and I'd get it all done. And they used to spend hundreds. And the fact is, it was amazing when people come in, but I just didn't take that wide enough. I just took it to the local area, and that's basically where it stayed. And because now I've taken it online, and I suppose I'm just not used to doing the online version compared to doing the shop version, because I'm a very face-to-face kind of person. It's like a whole new ball game. It's a whole new, let's do everything on that side of it. And I suppose that's where I've got to change my way of looking at things.
Oh, absolutely. And
it's all about learning, isn't it?
Well, it's like I said, we talked about this earlier when we talked about those businesses that, they've got the blinders on and they can only see right here. They don't remove those blinders and look at the entire landscape. Because when you do something, when you start a business and you are trying to fill a hole in the market, you got to be aware that somebody can just roll over right on top of you. And like you had said, locally, you were great. You were a rock star. Trying to, instead of taking it to a regional or a broader base, 100 kilometers out or whatever it might be. It's very easy for somebody to say, oh yeah, well, I just go over to the other guys and they have everything. And so why do I need to go see Maxine? That's a very common thing. So you just have to step back, digitally unplug for a little bit and just look at what's around you, because you can find the answer. You just have to look hard enough,
Yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? If you don't know something, you learn it and you go forward. But if you've learned something and then all of a sudden you've got to change it, it's quite hard, or not hard, but it's harder to go on to that level when you've already learned that one. And it's like relearning, but with everything in the way of what you should be learning. Do you get what I'm saying? It's
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So changing one thing to another, it can be quite painstaking, but it happens. So you just got to run with it. So I've got another question for you, because we're running out of time. I've literally got 2 minutes left. I can't believe we've got an hour already. So, best commercial out there and why? Now, I know you've already said McDonald's because of the consistency. Is there any other commercials out there that you think will be absolutely amazing?
Let me put it this way. The best commercial, in my opinion, is the one that makes the most money. I mean, really, it doesn't matter who it is or what it's for. That's the best one. In my second book, the first one that I talk about why it has stood the test of time is Apple's 1984 commercial. I don't know if you've ever seen it, if you've even heard of it. It's on YouTube. It absolutely changed the way that Super Bowl advertising has been done now for 34 years. Truly groundbreaking. Go watch that commercial. And it's a little dated, but you'll see why. It was truly, truly staggering.
Okay, so the next question is bad but good. In your opinion, what would you say the worst commercial or advertising campaign that you've ever seen, but it's actually worked really well?
Over here in the United States, there's an insurance company called Progressive, and they have this character who's a woman. Her name is Stephanie Courtney, but her character name is Flo, and they've used her for about 10 years in all of these really ridiculous situations to say, oh, we have homeowners and car and RV and all these different types of insurance. I don't know of anybody that really likes Flo, these commercials. But clearly they're working because they keep using her. They've used her for 10 years now. And I just don't find them very good, but clearly they work. They're kind of like, it comes on TV, yeah, okay, I guess. But what they've done in enough people, like I talked about, they get right in the forefront. So when you talk about name an insurance company, there are some massive ones here, yes, but Flo, Progressive, it's right up to the top. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's strange how things work, isn't it? It's like, you're trying to make the best of everything, but also the worst of it is just as good as being the best.
Yeah.
Because in both sides, you've either got to be at the very top or you've got to be at the very bottom to actually be noticed. Anything in between, it is what it is.
If you're in the middle, guess what? You're just swimming in the pool with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. That. Well, I'm afraid to say, Tim, that we're at the end of the show.
That's it?
I can't believe our 40 minutes has gone on for exactly 1 hour.
Unbelievable. Well, I hope if you're watching or listening to this today, I hope you've learned something and you can apply it to your business and to your advertising and your marketing as well.
Fantastic. And no, put your book on there as well. If you've got the link on your book, put it at the bottom of the comments. And if anybody reads your book, then that would be absolutely amazing, because it helps everybody out there. And that's basically what it's all about.
Let's see.
You know, bring your business up as much as you possibly can, not spending loads and loads of money, but getting your advertising out there. And you know, everybody needs to do that, in no matter what business they do.
Oh yeah. I'll put this in here. Do I put it in the team chat, or where do I put it?
You can put it in the team chat and I can transfer it over, or you can put it in the comments box.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to put it in the comments box, but
send it to me and I can put it in the comments box before we leave. That is not a problem.
There we go.
You do that while I'm saying goodbye to everybody. So guys, there you go. There's Tim Burt, as you can see along the bottom now. My name is Maxine English, and I've been interviewing Tim Burt today, picking his brains about the best way to advertise and what works. Because at the end of the day, it's like you could spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of amount of money, you know, on advertising and get yourself absolutely nowhere. When you do it, you've got to make sure you pinpoint to the right people. You've got to make sure that you know who you're advertising to, who are your customers, where are the eyeballs for where, you know, that you're trying to put your platform on. Sorry, where are your customers on what platform for where you're trying to advertise your business. So it's very much, you know, getting yourself out there in the right way. But Tim's come over some massive amount of different instructions for you to do, because get on them straight away. You know, a lot of them are not going to cost you a single penny, but at least you can do his research and get on there. And as you can see, I'm going to put it in there now. Tim has just sent me his comments. Hang on, let's put that in there for you. Paste it in. Right, it's on there, guys. So if you actually want Tim's book and you want to know anything about being in people's minds for a long, long time, he's there. He's for you. And not only that, Robert Brooker, the man with the voice. Tim, Robert Brooker is going to get you traveling around the world on your web tour.
Love it.
Well, thanks very much, guys, and I will see you all on obviously on Sunday with Dave Wilkes, and we'll be doing a celebrity corner special. And I want to say thank you, Tim, for all your time, and I'm sorry we've gone over a little bit, but it's been amazing having you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. I'm looking forward to seeing you in February.
Yes, ma'am. I'll see you in London at Yes You Can.
Yeah, you will indeed. Take care, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.